Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. My name is Dan and today we are talking about Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Okay, so I've been very excited for this film. Mostly because it was directed by Sam Raimi and not necessarily because it's a Marvel movie. If you guys know me well, you know I'm a Marvel guy. I love Marvel movies, they're great, it's a great time. But when I heard that Sam Raimi was coming back, returning to cinema to direct Multiverse of Madness, I got very excited. So this film kind of picks up where Spider-Man No Way Home left off with Doctor Strange and his character. And we are kind of thrown straight into the action in Multiverse of Madness, and as soon as the film begins, we kind of just thrown into this adventure. This film does have a sort of like chase element to it, so the whole film does have like quite a nice pacing to it, and you kind of do feel like you just caught up in the action the whole time, which is fun. This film is also just over 2 hours, which is a bit shorter than other Marvel films over these last couple of years, so it did give the film some nice energy and nice pacing. We found Stephen Strange in an interesting place at the beginning of this film after having gone through the events of Avengers Infinity War, Avengers Endgame, and now Spider-Man No Way Home. And things get a little bit more complicated when America Chavez is introduced in this film, who's also brilliantly portrayed by Xochitl Gomez. Both Doctor Strange and America Chavez get caught up in a very entangled multiverse adventure, and I had a great time in this film. I say this in my Letterboxd review, but it is one of the first MCU films in a long time where my expectations were completely different, and also my theories were completely off. And I kind of feel like that was a good thing for this. This film also definitely feels like a Sam Raimi film at heart. I could not believe how many little tributes and references there were to some of his previous work, such as The Evil Dead, and even some of the filmmaking techniques he used in Spider-Man. This film is also a lot darker than I thought it would be. I did hear like rumors here and there that it was quite a horror-oriented film with some scares here and there, but I didn't realize how far they were going to push that boundary. I can definitely see parents walking out with their children in this movie, which is kind of exciting for an MCU film. I don't think we've gotten that yet. And this film definitely does almost feel like this crazy horror adventure film through these different sort of multiverses, and I thought it was really exciting. Also, Elizabeth Olsen once again returns as the Scarlet Witch, and this is the best we've ever seen her, by far. If you guys had watched some of my WandaVision reviews, you would have known that I really liked what they did with Elizabeth Olsen's Scarlet Witch character. And I think once again here, they just exceed expectations with her character specifically. This character is incredibly frightening and scary, and she embodies this character so well. That being said as well, if you are like really into films, and if you do know Sam Raimi, you will know he does have a specific style. And especially like in his earlier films like The Army of Darkness, The Evil Dead, The Evil Dead 2, there's a very stylistic tone and filmmaking technique he uses in those films, and those are mimicked here and referenced here in this film. And if you didn't really like what he did with The Evil Dead, or you know, The Evil Dead 2, or Drag Me to Hell, or The Army of Darkness, you might not necessarily like some of the stuff he does in this movie either. Also, it's not a criticism on Sam Raimi at all, but some of his scripts and stories are a bit like choppy and a bit like mixed up, and it does kind of feel like a whole bunch of ideas mixed into one story. And although it's not necessarily a bad thing, it does come across in this film too, which I do see some Marvel fans having a problem with, some MCU Marvel fans specifically. I can guarantee you, for a lot of MCU fans, this is not what they were expecting. That excites me, but I do see people having a massive problem with that. There are also certain things that do with some of the characters in this film, which I definitely see some fans having a major problem with. It's going to divide fans, I feel like, in a lot of ways. I personally didn't have a massive problem with it, but I do see some fans being quite upset about it. Like, it's going to upset some people, like a lot. It's also frustrating because I do personally feel like, after having seen the film, that a lot of the trailers did give a lot away, and some of the reveals in the trailers could have been even greater if they were just in the movie and we hadn't seen them beforehand. But you know what, I understand, you have to market this film. It is having seen the film, it might have been a bit of a difficult film to market in some ways, so I do see why they might have like added a few things here and there with regards to certain appearances and stuff like that, but I won't get too much into that if you have been avoiding the trailers. Okay guys, also just busy editing this review, and there was something I forgot to say. Guys, the cinematography is stunning in this movie. Sam Raimi knows how to frame his shots, and the movie looks really, really good. Also the color grade, it's so good. Some of the best we've had in the MCU, I think ever, honestly. It was also great hearing Danny Elfman return to score this film. He had done work with Sam Raimi on the Spider-Man trilogy. It's been one of my favorite Marvel scores that I've heard in a while, and I just thought it worked really well with Sam Raimi's style for this film. The story of the film does kind of feel a bit all over the place at times, which I do see some people having a major issue with, and some of the dialogue and the writing is a bit cheesy and a bit goofy and stuff like that. I personally didn't have much of a problem with that necessarily, but I do see some people having a bit of an issue with that. But overall, I really did have a fun time with this. It's not going to be like the best Marvel movie of all time, not by a long shot, but I do think it sits maybe in the B tier for Marvel films for me. It just did feel super original, super unique, and super just like almost refreshing for the MCU at this point. I feel like we've gotten very used to almost like a formulaic style on these Marvel movies, and this one felt completely out of that. Of course, there are some action sequences here and there that fit the Marvel mold, I get that, but overall as a movie it felt a lot more original, a lot more unique than what we've been seeing over the last couple of years and possibly even the last decade of MCU films. Guys, please let me know in the comments down below if you'd like to see me do a spoiler review for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. But thank you for joining me for this review, I really do appreciate it. Please also let me know your spoiler-free thoughts in the comments down below. I'd love to hear what you guys thought of the film. I personally had a great time. I do definitely see why people would not like this film, but I thought it was great. I thought it was a really, really fun ride, and I'm looking forward to seeing it again actually. I thought it was good. It was great. But thank you for joining me once again, guys. I hope you guys are doing well, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, stay safe out there, and bye-bye.